Hey, I'm Paris with Paris May Reads, and this is my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk all about the books I read the past month. Here is half of them, and there are 4 more, so I have 8 total. Let's get into them. We're going to start with my lowest star rating and work up to my highest. And starting at 3 stars is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This is the first book of the Winter Night trilogy by her. And I've heard really great things about the trilogy as a whole, but I've seen mixed reviews about this first book. And I gave it 3 stars. I've seen a lot of people rate it in that mid-star range. It was... It was slow. The pacing was very slow. I really thought I was going to like this book going into it. It's Russian folklore, it's fantasy, it's coming of age. The trilogy is apparently an epic fantasy. I love books about Russia and set in Russia and like historical fiction, but I haven't ever read a Russian folklore novel, so maybe that also kind of threw me for a loop on this one too. But again, I'm just surprised that I didn't necessarily enjoy The Bear and the Nightingale. However, I have been assured that the rest of the books just get a lot better, and in the second one the world kind of opens up and the main character flits off on different adventures to different places. So I think that I will keep reading the trilogy. Not right now. Might take a little break. It might take me some convincing to get back into these because I just did not want to pick this one up as I was reading it. So my quick takes on this are mild language, closed door spice, and then the content considerations are death of parents, violence, brief abuse, and then the folklore was pretty dark and had a demonic twist to it, so that is in there as well. I will say one part that I didn't love, just as a Christian, and this is where the biblical worldview of my reviews come in. One of the main characters is a Catholic priest, and he shows up in the town and is seen by the main character as the villain and is portrayed as a villain to the local like folklore characters that inhabit the village. So that was like an interesting spin that I didn't really love. That was in there. If something like that would bother you, don't read this one. I don't know, this was just disappointing. And this book reminded me of 2 books that I really enjoyed. One is East by Edith Pateau. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. And then Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I really enjoyed both of those. Spinning Silver is a 5-star for me, and so the writing style of Catherine Arden reminded me of those writers or those other authors, but it just really fell flat for me in the plot. So we'll see if I continue on with the trilogy. Again, I've been assured that it gets better, so I might talk myself into it someday in the future. In my 4-star category, I have 1 book from last month, and that is Midnight on the Scottish Shore by Sarah Sundin. This is her brand new release, and I actually got this as an ARC from Rebel Fiction. And I have read one other book by her, which is Until Leaves Fall in Paris, and that was a 5-star for me. I absolutely love this one, and this one is successful as well. The female main character is from the Netherlands, and she is part of the resistance, and she gets freaked out about being caught and realizes her only way out of the Netherlands to get to the UK is to actually agree to be a Nazi spy. So she does that with full intent to just run away and not ever be a spy for them. However, when she lands on the shore of Scotland, she's caught. So that is the whole premise of this book. And she ends up being a double agent and spying for the British while also pretending to be a spy for the Germans, hence the double agency. But this one was really fun because it's set in Scotland. I love books set in Scotland, and I actually haven't read a World War II novel that's set in Scotland, so I really enjoyed that aspect. So while I did get this book from the publisher, I ended up actually listening to this on audio after it was released, and the audio narrator was really great. She did Scottish accent, she did the Netherlands accent, and was very successful. And I would definitely recommend the audio if you can access that. Additionally, with Sarah Sundin's books, there is a romance element to it as well. So it is a historical fiction, but it has more of a romance narrative than some historical fictions do. And I like to say that her historical fictions are more lighthearted. They still touch on the deep subjects and content matter from that time period. Her stories are filled with hope and faith themes. Just really enjoy reading books by her, and I plan to read more. There's no language in this book. The spice was kisses only, and content considerations sections are themes of war, violence, death, unaliving, murder, and anti-Semitism. I really enjoyed the character development, especially from the male main character's point of view, his relationship with his brother. I really enjoyed that relationship unfold throughout the book. If you're looking for a lighter content World War II historical fiction read with a romance subplot, I would highly recommend Midnight on the Scottish Shores by Sarah Sundin. Next up is 4.5 stars, and we're going to kick this category off with my read-along from this past month, and that was, if Sarah Sundin's book is on the light side of historical fiction, this one is not. This is Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. I'm so bad at pronouncing authors' names. I apologize. This is set right after World War II and the Spanish Civil War, during Franco's dictatorship, and it is gut-wrenching. There are some really big content considerations that I will tell you about. I go into books blind, so I didn't know that what the themes were going to be going into this, and I kind of wish I had, because some parts were just really, really hard to listen to. So I did a lot of Googling after this book, and yeah, just some more heart-wrench. So as you can see, this book is on the heftier side. However, the chapters are really short, which I really enjoyed, and I actually listened to it on audio, and there's little snippets of radio broadcast and newspaper clippings in here, and on the audio they made it sound like you were listening to a radio broadcast on those sections. So that was a really fun touch. The audiobook was really great. Also, I feel like I won the Amazon lottery with this book, because I bought this off Amazon. It was on sale for like $12, and I got a signed copy. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that was a big Amazon win. So let's get into The Fountains of Silence. This is definitely a book about a lesser known period of history. I had never learned about the Spanish Civil War, and the only reason why I even knew that Spain had a civil war is because I have an art history master's degree, and when I went like, I remember studying Picasso's Guernica, and it is painted after a bombing of the city Guernica during the Spanish Civil War. And so I'm like, off the top of my head, remembering this, learning about that piece, the Spanish Civil War was brought up, and so that's how I knew. That's the only reason why I knew about it. And what's crazy is that the Spanish Civil War predated World War II, and then it they were already at war, and then they just continued on in war with World War II, and then they were under a dictatorship. And at that point, when Franco was a dictator, at the end, when World War II ended, Mussolini and Hitler were already gone. Like, Franco was really the only big superpower left from those dictators, and it's just crazy what people lived through during that time period. It's heartbreaking. So would absolutely recommend reading The Fountains of Silence, solely based on getting to learn about a new historical period that is not widely taught in the American public school system. With that being said, specifically talking about The Fountains of Silence, I think the author did a fantastic job writing the main characters. It follows a boy from Texas who's 18, and his mom is Spanish, and they go over to Spain for the summer, and that's why he's there. And it's all kind of set in a hotel. And this is another crazy aspect of it, is that Franco was pushing tourism, and it was like a hot spot for Americans to go during this time period, even though it was still under a dictatorship. So I think it's kind of dicey when you're talking about, like, was America supporting a dictator? Because they were, I mean, his dad goes over there to talk about an oil deal. His dad's in oil, and his dad goes over, like, that's why they're over there, is to talk about oil with Franco, and they are like figuring out if that's something they should pursue. And so at what point are the lines blurred on, like, is America supporting this dictator or not? So that's something I haven't Googled yet, and again, still piques my interest. So I would love to read more about this time period in history. Again, her teen writing, so the main characters throughout the majority of the book are teens, and this is technically a YA. However, I would say it is on the upper range of YA, like 17, 18 plus, just because of there's some really heavy themes in it. And I think she did a really great job of writing the characters as, at 18, being able to fully be burdened by hardship and responsibility, but maybe not fully grasp the reality or gravity of the situation that you've found yourself in, which I think the main character walks through the majority of the book because he's an American and just doesn't really grasp like what Franco's Spain fully means to the local Spaniards. So I thought that was very successful. I will say there is hope portrayed throughout this book. There's a romantic subplot between between two of the characters, and it just helped kind of raise the spirits as you're reading through these really heavy themes. And even though this book is so long, I really wanted more. The ending was a bit abrupt. You do kind of get some closure, but like you want more closure. The language in this is mild. God's name is taken in vain. Also in English and Spanish, I believe. The spice content is kisses only, and contents considerations are death, baby abduction and death, pregnancy loss, and past torture and abuse. So again, I said at the beginning of this, as a mom, it's hard for me to read content about child abduction and infant death, and that is very central to this plot line, so take that in consideration before starting The Fountains of Silence. I will say, however, I rated this 4.5 stars, so it didn't take away from my reading experience, and this was based on true history, and that portion of the content is what I googled at the end, and it is just, again, heartbreaking. And this was happening in Spain. And was it hard to listen to as a mother? Yes. But is it based upon historical facts? Yes. So I think there is some, it's not just purely a book of fiction talking about those content considerations that I don't prefer to read about. It is based on historical reality. So I kind of toes the line of like, yeah, I don't really like reading books with this, but this really happened and I want to be educated type thing. So there you go. Tea break while I wait for the train. Next in my 4.5 star category is With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. This is his upcoming thriller, and it was so good. I loved this one, and I did not see the ending coming, did not guess the twist. It's a locked room mystery, which means they're all like confined together. So we have my favorite trope, forced proximity, and they're on a train. It gives big Murder on the Orient Express, Agatha Christie vibes. Also Clue, if you like Clue. Also The Glass Onion, if you like that show or movie. I can't remember if it's a show or a movie. I think it's a movie on Netflix. It's so good. So I really enjoyed this book that he's coming out with this year, and if you're a Riley Sager fan, yes, this is a good one. And this actually, I put this into my top 3 Riley Sager novels. So like sitting at number 3. So I really enjoyed this one. It really bridged the gap for me between cozy murder mystery and thriller, which I loved. I'm in a big cozy murder mystery stage right now where that's all my mood reader wants to read. So I really enjoyed that aspect with it, but with a faster paced thriller feeling as well. So this was set in the 50s, but it has flashbacks to the 40s and actually some World War II as well, which was really interesting. So kind of had a little bit of that historical fiction narrative in it. So it just had really all the things. It also had some Gilded Age era vibes, very nostalgic. I really enjoyed it and think it's very successful. Everyone is a suspect in this book, and Sager gives you a false sense of, I have figured this out multiple times. I thought multiple times, like, I know who the killer is. And yeah, you don't know, unless you do, but I didn't. So this is his 9th book, and I am 0 and Riley Sager is 9. For me, being able to figure out the ending of his books, which is just the way that I like it. So I'm happy to be wrong when reading thrillers and not know the ending. My quick takes on this one are moderate language. There is a vague open door scene that is in the past flashback, and the content is death, violence, and same-sex relationship, which actually is the vague open door scene in the past. So I think as Riley progresses in his career, he's adding more of that narrative into his book. But this is of a side character, and it's in the past, and it's the only time it's mentioned. So there's not any present themes of that nature happening in the plotline. And again, if you are fans of Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express, Clue, or The Glass Onion, you gotta check this one out. It's going to be a huge success when it releases this year. My last book in the 4.5 star category is The Invisible College by Jeff Wheeler. This is the first book of a new trilogy that he is currently writing. The second book releases in April, I believe, of this year. And I honestly had zero clue what I was getting into, but the vibes on this one are like, they're there. They're amazing. I just posted a review of this on Instagram and I'll link it in the caption, but I made 5 different mood boards for this because it is a mashup of all the best things. So if you want to check that out, click the link in the captions. This one was really great and I could not stop thinking about it while I was reading it. I juggle multiple books. I usually am reading 3 to 4 books at a time, and this is the one I kept picking up, kept wanting to read, and I still think about it. And I actually have the advanced copy of the second book, and I am just really chomping at the bit to get into it. So I did receive an early copy of this book from the author Jeff Wheeler, and it was super fun to get an advanced copy of this one. I did not read it before its release. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I'll have that linked below as well. And a hack with Kindle Unlimited, if the book on Kindle Unlimited has the headphone symbol on it and you have an Audible subscription, you can add the Kindle Unlimited book into your library and then the audio shows up in your Audible library without using a credit. So I actually listened to this one and the narrator did a really great job, and I just loved this book. I will say the beginning was a little slow, but when I say it was a little slow, I mean like the first couple chapters. So not like the entire book that was slow of The Bear and the Nightingale. Yeah, it took a little bit for me to figure out the world building and the magical system because it is so unique. But once you get a hold of what is happening and the details going on in the plot, it is really fun. There's also a romance subplot, and it is a Regency romance, and that was just really the icing on top because I love a good Regency romance. Pride and Prejudice is one of my top movies, so I was here for that as well. There's some pining, there's a hand clench, guys. It's all in there. All right, so this one was really, the only way I can describe it is a mashup of Treasure Planet, White Walkers from Game of Thrones, dark academia, and with a scientific twist with that Regency romance plot. So it has a lot of things, and like I said, I reviewed this on Instagram and I had to make 5 separate mood boards for this book. Okay, I could just not think of another way to do it justice. So I had a lot of fun putting it together, and I am assuming that the second book is going to be even better than this one, so I'm so excited to get into it. While this is an adult book, it does have one character that's 18, and then the other 2 points of view, the 18-year-old's a girl, and then the other 2 points of view are men, and one's 27, so an adult, and then the other one is older than that. So it is technically an adult fantasy, but there's no language and no spice. It's kisses only. So if you have some upper teen readers, I mean, like, you could probably do 15 or 16 for this book and they would love it. And even though it has Regency romance and there's a girl as one of the main characters, I think that male readers also really enjoy this book too. Some of the magic system is music. It's like music mixed with science, and it is just really cool. Would recommend this book. I'm going to be recommending it for a long time. It is in my top clean fantasies. I don't use clean fantasy very often because a lot of people define clean as different things, but there is no language and no spice, kisses only, and the content considerations are themes of war, murder, and suicide. So pretty clean. And I always get asked for clean fantasy recommendations, so if you are interested in a clean fantasy recommendation, look no further. This is it. The Invisible College by Jeff Wheeler. It's going to be a trilogy. The second one releases in April, so this is the best time to start reading The Invisible College and prepare for the second book's release. Okay, 5 stars. My 5-star category. I honestly feel like this month of reading was just like vibes. I really liked my mashup of books I had going on, and I'm gonna lump in. So there's 3 books in my 5-star category, and the first I'm gonna lump together. And you know what's coming? It's Emma M. Lyon, books number 3 and 4. So I read the first 2 books back to back, and they're only 100 pages, so you can read them almost as basically as one book. That's how I read them, and then I read 3 and 4 basically almost right next to each other as well, and they just get more endearing. The characters are getting fleshed out, the plot is developing, there's friendships being formed, there's romantic struggles happening, there is some deep grief that we wade through with Emma, lots more magical realism, and some really fun friendships. I don't know if it's because I have only brothers, but that is like Emma. She mainly hangs out with guys, and it's just so fun, her little like group of male friendships that she is forming. And there's one big one that's just like filled with fun foolhardy rascals in the 3rd and 4th books, and it is just so endearing, and I have nothing but great things to say about this series. The first 2 books I gave 4 stars just because it was setting up the plot, and I think reading them together as one book is the best way to approach those 2. Each one gets better, and the ending of 3 and the ending of 4, are just heart melting. So I'm not ever gonna not recommend M.M. Lyon. So let's talk through my quick takes on this. In both of these books, you will find mild language, no spice, and the content considerations are toxic family relationships and grief. And my final book in the 5-star category is Daughters of Bronze by A.D. Ryan, and I reviewed the first book. This is a duology, and I reviewed the first book in my volume 1 of my monthly reading reviews, and I have gotten so many questions about this duo, and I gave both these books 5 stars, and I actually listened to them on Audible. The audio is fantastic. There's 4 different points of view, and there are 4 different narrators, and it is a treat to listen to an audio, and I loved them so much I had to buy the physical books. If you are a mythology fan, read these. This is a retelling of Troy from Troy's perspective, so you follow 4 strong women who are in Troy and figuring out how to fight for those they love and the city they love the best that they know how. This is a true duology, so they have to be read in order, so make sure you read Horses of Fire first, and then you can move on to Daughters of Bronze. And let's get into my quick takes. My quick takes on this is brief, moderate language. I don't remember there being any language in the first one, but there probably was some mild. But the second one had brief, moderate language, just like a couple of times. And the spice is closed door in this one. And the content considerations are violence, death, themes of war, stillborn, and past sexual assault. Again, if you love the Iliad, the Odyssey, Greek mythology in general, I mean, one of the points of view is Helen of Troy. This is it. Read this book. Read these books right here. And I'll put the Audible link in the caption, but just would highly recommend the audio if you prefer audiobooks. These are going to be in my top books from this year. So there's that. We're starting early with my favorite books of the year, okay? And that's it for the 8 books I read this past month. I hope those were helpful and that you added some new books to your TBR. Let me know in the comments which ones, or if you've read any of these. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel right here, and go and watch this video right here if you've not already. Until next time, I hope all of your reads are 5 stars.